Namaste, Jai Hind, and welcome to this edition of The Right Stand. I'm Anand Narsimhan, coming to you live from the CNN News 18 Federal Bank Primetime Studios. First up, ladies and gentlemen, as Prime Minister Narendra Modi begins his third consecutive term in office, industry leaders have voiced their confidence in the government's capacity to advance economic reforms and sustain the nation's growth momentum. Experts are emphasizing that Bharat's economy is poised to become the world's third largest and Bharat is the world's best represented nation. Also, in the Times Higher Education Impact Rankings 2024. So even as there is investor confidence, there is also the fact that we are representing ourselves and our educational institutions better. Over 100 universities are ranked, up from just 13 in 2019, the result of a remarkably successful internationalization drive by the Modi government. Now, there are a total of 2,152 institutions ranked from 125 nations, and Bharat's participation is highest, with 105 institutions being represented. Now, riding on the 8.2% GDP growth, Bharat has also exhibited the strongest outlook in hiring in the Asia-Pacific region. In the APAC region, Bharat ranks 6th globally, in fact, for its employment outlook during July-September quarter of 2024, with a net employment net employment outlook, NEO, of 30 percent points, 8 points above the global average. A recent survey by Manpower Group has observed this. And the technology giant Apple Inc. has pushed the pedal on exporting iPhones from Bharat by racking up the exports valued at over $2 billion in the first 2 months of the current financial year, FY25. Yes, this accounts for 81% of the country's total production of iPhones, worth about $2.6 billion. In May, Apple repeated its performance of April and once again crossed $1 billion of iPhone exports. So a lot of parameters looking up for Bharat, ladies and gentlemen. But tonight, here on The Right Stand, we are going to look at Riyasi, Doda and Kathua. Yes, we have all eyes on Riyasi, Doda and Kathua tonight in this edition of The Right Stand. To the apologists, ladies and gentlemen, there is nothing to say, as they will continue to turn a blind eye to the Islamists who lay to sword the lives of innocents. They will never count the Pakistani bullets that have claimed innocent Hindustani lives. They will continue to look away from the hatred and venom that is spewed by those that chose not to live in harmony with Hindus and tore Bharat into Hindustan and Pakistan. That lot and its progeny continue to harbor ill will towards Bharat. 7.5 decades and 3 wars later, they continue to fight a proxy war. They bleed India with 1,000 cuts. They may be brought down to their own knees, but they will still look at only that, because that pathological hatred for us is the only reason for sustenance now. So much so that they are now out in the market opening themselves to the highest bidder. Currently, lording over them is the dragon. And tonight we'll tell you why all eyes must be on Riyasi. Because it's pointing to a greater game. Use the hate of one entity and its apologists within another to fuel the expansionist design of the dragon. Yes, this sudden spurt in terror activity perhaps has its moorings at the LAC rather than the LOC, ladies and gentlemen. Let's try and understand this in further detail. First up, have a look at this map. And this is the Jammu, Kashmir, Ladakh region. What we are trying to highlight is where there used to be activity earlier. This is the entire Kashmir Valley. Now, since this Kashmir Valley has been gridlocked, what we are seeing since 2023 is a shift downward, a downward movement towards starting the activity around this region. This is the Jammu region. So, this is Muzaffarabad. The terrorists are infiltrating via the LOC or via the IB, getting into from the Samba sector, moving towards Rajouri, and this is around the Pir Panjal range here. And from there, they're spreading into Riyasi, Doda, Kathua. So they're moving downward, because this area is gridlocked by the security forces. The green area is gridlocked by the security forces, and they are now trying to be active here, create activity here, and thereby target largely more the Hindu population. And this Jammu region create problems here. Now, why are they wanting to do this? Why are they no longer focusing on? So there is a security grid, and this terrain is different. Topographically, this terrain is different. This has got large, widespread areas geographically, less populated, so humant is lesser, and the terrain is far more conducive with caves, jungle region, and this region. This is where they are largely hiding. They go back and hide. They shoot, scoot, hide, hibernate, and then they come out again. That's what they're trying to do. Now our group editor security, Manoj Kumar Gupta, getting us some more details. And this is the other reason why we're saying look at the LOC, keep this area in mind and see why this activity is happening from here. See, we are covered on two fronts by the enemy. China here, the PLA there, and this is Pakistan. Now, what we are given to understand is this is a strategy to actually reduce the troop deployment from here, force the army to recalibrate and move troops away from the LAC so that the pressure on the PLA here reduces and they can make ingress in this region. That's what top intel sources are telling us, that the strategy and the aim is to create pressure on the forces, and this is what they want to do. They want to create pressure on the forces. They want to make India shift troops from the LAC to Jammu and Kashmir, towards the LOC and towards the IB. And the aim is to engage the Indian troops more in Jammu and Kashmir and create a two-front pressure. Agencies suspect that this move is to aid the dragon. So it's beyond the local politics and the proxy war. Top intel sources are also saying that it may be a bit to vitiate the atmosphere ahead of the Jammu and Kashmir poll. So that's another aspect. To create a diffuse situation internally, create an internal security dynamic, create an external security dynamic, and also create a political narrative saying that all is not well in Jammu and Kashmir, in the UT of Jammu and Kashmir. A desperate attempt to create unrest after successful Lok Sabha polls in Jammu and Kashmir. 10 to 12 terrorists were given to understand. And these are FTs. They are moving in groups of 3 to 4 in the Jammu region. The network of ground workers is actually helping these FTs because most of them, this lot that's come, locals have suspected to have helped terrorists with food, shelter before these 3 big strikes. Locals aided Riyasi mastermind Lashkar commander Sajid Jatt. It's a clear attempt to try and rattle the security setup. They are on a mission to spook Hindu pilgrims and they are trying to discourage tourists from visiting Jammu and Kashmir. And it's also a bit to thwart the stability post the abrogation of 370. A lot of them are shocked. But so there are multiple layers. One, move down, try and use the larger terrain topographical advantage for their guerrilla warfare. And secondly, the army has also revealed that last November after the Rajouri attack, how retired Pakistani soldiers have actually given support to terrorists in the strikes in Jammu region. The army has said that retired Pakistani soldiers are among terrorists in Jammu and Kashmir. Retired Pakistani soldiers are involved in attacks in the Rajouri-Poonch region. And Pakistan's clear bid to infiltrate foreign terrorists stands out here. Sajid Jatt is said to have infiltrated with about 12 to 14 more. This is a fresh lot of 10 to 12. The 2 neutralized terrorists had some cash in their hand and they were actually caught asking for food from locals. So clearly they were trying to get their bearings in this region. But they were all spread in groups of 3 each. So 12, 4 groups, 16, again about 4 or 5 groups. That's how they have spread across and they are trying to create problems in that entire belt that we showed you in the map. So let's now get into the details of this. How is this? How are we going to counter this, ladies and gentlemen? Because sadly, the politicians internally will not call out Pakistan. They will only say talk to them. But they will never say count the bullets that they have rained on us. They will never count that. Sardar R.P. Singh, National Spokesperson on the BJP with us. Abhijit Iyer Mitra, Senior Fellow IPCS with us. Nilofer Masood, National Conference with us. Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni with us. The former DG Infantry and Ahmed Ayaz, political analyst. Namaste and Jai Hind to everybody. Thank you very, very much. General Kulkarni, how are we going to deal with this, sir? Have we read the situation right? Or do you believe that there is another perspective to this?
Thank you, Anand. I think you brought it out very well. All of them combined. First and foremost, we must understand that Pakistan uses terrorism as an instrument of state policy. Pakistan hatred towards India. Pakistan's desire, or has always been, to bleed India with 1,000 cuts. Having said that, there is also within our own people also a lobby which seems to be supporting them in terms of giving them a certificate to say that, well, Pakistan is not involved. And just within less than 24 hours of such a statement, we have the terrorist shot dead with all the Pakistani equipment on him. You find M4 rifles with them. You find all the sophisticated equipment with them. There's no denying the fact that, of course, in the valley, there's been a large population that has voted. 54% has voted in Baramulla. But what surprises is that people who are in jail for the last 5 years for money laundering, for reasons connected with terrorism, have been elected with over 4,72,000 votes. That is also something which is alarming. And the person has been able to defeat the ex-chief minister of Jammu and Kashmir. So that is indeed very, very alarming that such kind of mindsets exist. And so now to target the Hindus, target all tourism. Over 2 crore people had visited Kashmir. Over 1 crore people visit Vaishno Mata every year. This is a place where tourism exists. Nothing can exist. None of these terrorists can ever survive in India without logistic support. That's something which is very, very important. If anybody says, well, these are what the resistance front and this all part, nothing. They're nothing but Lashkar-e-Taiba's front, which had to rechange their names primarily because of the pressures from the Financial Action Task Force. And since they were on the grey list, they moved on. But they are none other than supported by ISI. And you rightly brought it out, Anand. There are ex-servicemen of the Pakistan Army deeply involved because much of their activities, whether it is surveillance, reconnaissance, bringing in weaponry, using the kind of weaponry, targeting. Imagine in Riyasi, the driver being shot right in front. That's where the bus went down. That means how much of recce has been done, how much of the people, those eyes and ears are there. Overground workers that are functioning over them, the sleeper cells that are activated over there. So all this is something which we really need to look into it, and we also need to tighten our own activities. It's much easier, but all said and done, the synergy within our own security forces is extremely, extremely essential, that at no point of time, much that Pakistan remains a terror hub, Pakistan continues to use terrorism as an instrument of state policy, but be that it is, it's an enemy which will do it. But we also need now to take steps to ensure that these things are not repeated. Much of these 172 of these terrorists that were killed in 2022, we had over 100 of them associated with the resistance force. In 90 encounters that had occurred, 70 to 42 foreign militants were killed. About 70 to 80 have infiltrated now. So all this, of course, is being tagged on. But yes, there is a need for us to ensure that these kind of things are not repeated. Jammu was a region which was supposedly free of militancy for almost 30 years, and all of it was concentrated. But now with the security kind of a grid tightening up in the valley, they found an easier route coming through Poonch, Rajouri, Riyasi, going down to Doda, Kishtwar, and Bhadarwah, and all. So this is somewhere a soft belt with a mixed population. Places 50-50, 60-40, 70-30, but a mixed population. Unlike the valley, where population is concentrating is only of one particular community and larger than 95%. Over here, at least, is a mix of 50 and above. So there is something which they can create a divide. So we ought to be very, very careful, and something very challenging. Pakistan will continue to do it, and you rightly said, it is now sitting in the lap of China, and China is dictating all of it, and therefore we need to be more careful.
Well, classic game on a chessboard, and if you were to see, create diffusion and create something somewhere, and then the other opponent gets caught up there, and when you make a move from another side, and this is exactly how the play seems to be of the dragon. Abhijit Iyer Mitra, your perspective before we get into the politics of it with Nilofer Masood and Sardar R.P. Singh. Yes.
I think there's many layers to it. Like you've pointed out, this is such a multi-pronged game. You know, China and moving troops away is one thing. But to show up the government as kind of weak on security immediately after the elections and a perceived loss, I mean, if you want to accept that or not. Then there is the fact that, you know, Kashmir has virtually been normalized, except the Pir Panjal range, where there is an insurgency on. The insurgency situation is ended. There will be acts of individual terrorism. The point of, you know, timing attacks so close is to break that sense of normalization. Sir had previously mentioned, you know, how they want to destroy the economy out there, the tourism economy, which for the first time is no longer a rentier economy, you know, where everybody depended on the army and security force deployment for their income. Almost 54% of Kashmir depended on these guys for their income. That has been broken. Kashmiris are making money. If you actually check up hotels in anywhere in Kashmir, a 5-star, you will not get a room for under 30,000 rupees. It is peak season, both summer and winter right now. They don't want that. Why don't they want that? Because that was their big leverage. It is what sells them to China. The only thing they can realistically show China is that we have this leverage on India. So it's very important for them to get that leverage back. The other final point here that I'd like to make is, their game has always been to get local parties to say, Pakistan is a stakeholder, talk to them. And the basis for talks becomes the basis then for them to approach China and say, look, we've gained normalization again. Now, I don't look at Rashid Engineer's election as something particularly alarming, and I'll tell you why. What it showed is how irrelevant the former so-called mainstream parties are. Mehbooba Mufti lost her election. Omar Abdullah lost his election. All of them lost it because now they are desperately on the point of being completely negated to the margins. And when extremist candidates like Rashid Engineer stand up, who are in Indian jails, it is very easy to pinpoint supporters. It is much more easy to take them down. So I think the Rashid Engineer aspect for me is the least concerning, and the vote for him is the least concerning. But it's the way that they're able to carry out these attacks systematically in such a short period of time. That for me is the most worrying, and presumably all the regular so-called mainstream parties that are now going to sit down and talk to Pakistan, because then they gain back.
True. Before we get into the politics of it, just want to call out the map again and just to tell our viewers, ladies and gentlemen, if you were to understand the topography of Jammu and Kashmir, this region is very, very spread out. This whole region is very, very spread out. It's not as much of a hub as the Kashmir Valley is concerned. The Jammu region, especially when we come to Kishtwar, Doda, Riyasi, and this entire Poonch Rajouri region, they're all very spread out and it's very sparsely populated. So for people and for you to establish a security grid and also to gather human, it's not very easy. But when there is cover fire and these people who come into Bharat via these infiltrating routes, they don't know their bearings. They need OGWs. There has to be local support for them to be able to do this. And Sardar R.P. Singh, when that is happening, that means that there are still elements who are operating here, who are embedded here, who need to be weeded out. Two of the terrorists, one of them, we've got confirmed information on News 18 India that one of them had at least 1 lakh rupees of cash that is Indian currency. So somebody has handed them that money. They didn't know their way around. They were asking locals for food and shelter. So clearly they didn't know their way around and they've been confirmed as foreign terrorists. But somebody has handed them money here. Somebody has shown them their way here and they've moved in.
Well, Anand, there is no doubt that there are overground workers or overground supporters for them here in Delhi also. And then right from the political parties to the lawyers and to businessmen, although government has reined in lot of them, especially the people who are supporting them financially, they have been checked now. But yes, there are political supporters. If I have to name blatantly, then Farooq Abdullah is supporting them. I mean, not that handing over money and all, but otherwise giving them moral support. When he says that, oh, India should be scared of Pakistan, Pakistan has a atomic bomb, or when he says that we should open a dialogue. I mean, after they have killed people, they have killed our Indian citizens. I mean, he's not counting the bullets, but he's saying, oh, we should have a dialogue with the Pakistan. So it's in a way supporting their cause, and then it's happening both ways. I mean, it's happening from the Pakistan also. Pakistan is also supporting people like Farooq Abdullah or the Congress party.
How can you blame
was
him?
All out here to ensure that the
He's not ruling Jammu and Kashmir.
Please, you will have a chance. So
no, you people have become
please,
used of just pulling leg off all those.
Nilofarji,
Can I complete?
Let him make his point. Let him make his point and then you counter, ma'am. Let's not speak over each other. Please. Yes. I'll come to you after this straight away. After Sardar R.P. Singh makes his point. Yes,
I'm just stating the facts, and the hard facts pinches. The fact is that Fawad Chaudhry would not say a word without the support of the deep state. And what was Fawad Chaudhry saying? Support Indian Alliance or support, we want Rahul Gandhi to be Prime Minister here. Well, a message being sent across the borders and in the country also to a particular community saying that we are with you if you support Rahul Gandhi or Kejriwal or Indian Alliance for that regard. None of these leaders uttered a word. They didn't tell Fawad Chaudhry to shut up, and say not to intervene in the Indian elections. And then so none of them have criticized the deep state of the Pakistan who is creating all this disturbance in India. I mean, they welcome the dialogue with the Pakistan, but they never talk about the people who have been killed here or about the bullet shot or number of bullets shot here. I mean, so they indirectly or directly support the people from across the border. And also people like Rashid Engineer, who's arrested now, when he was one of the supporters. And then also there are people who were giving the financial aid to these people, and they've been arrested by NIA. But yes, government has to take action on this. A very strong action and a strong message need to be done. Timing and has to be calibrated by the army. Let army decide whenever they want to retaliate and in what form they want to retaliate. But this has to be curbed. This has to be reined in now. It's high time it should be reined in now.
So, Nilofer Masood, please respond. Ji.
It's very unfortunate that we are blaming Dr. Farooq Abdullah for every attack. It's very unfortunate. We should question those who are directly ruling this Jammu and Kashmir from the last 10 years. That is now 1 decade. Why don't we question them? There is security lapse. We need to ask them, and they are at the helm of affairs. They should explain us what is the reason of these consecutive terror attacks. There is escalation of the violence in the Jammu and Kashmir, and especially after the abrogation of the Article 370 and 35A. We are given to understand that these are the two impediments which results in not curbing the militancy in the Jammu and Kashmir. But now what has happened? We don't have 370, we don't have 35A. Then what is the reason of all these? We need to think about this. Now, we have been hearing from last so many years, Naya Kashmir, Naya Kashmir. What's in Naya Kashmir? We don't find peace, we don't find normalcy. BJP has been just thumping and saying that there is return of normalcy in the Jammu and Kashmir. Where is the normalcy? When the last elections were held in Jammu and Kashmir, we didn't find any BJP, and those people who were proxy candidates of the BJP, they have supported the person who is involved in the terror funding. They need to question, they need to answer this question. On one side, we are trying to just curb militancy, and on the other side, we are having some other reasons because we want that one person whom they don't like, that he should lose anyway. So there are people who are at helm of affairs. If they will not understand today, if they will not accept their failure in the Jammu and Kashmir, who is going to question? Our panelists are sitting here. We cannot blame every time for every fault, whatever is happening in the Jammu and Kashmir, that only mainstream people are responsible for it. They need to take the responsibility for it.
Okay.
Mr. RP Singh is sitting here. Let he tell me that how Dr. Farooq Abdullah is responsible. He is saying that we people are supporting, we are telling India that they should hold talks with the Jammu and Kashmir. Yes, we are telling them because of the reason when there was ceasefire agreement in the year 2021. Then we didn't find any such incident which were happening on the border. We have seen peace there. Our borders are now cool.
Okay, Nilofer
So when
Masood
we
ji,
talk to those people, that is the reason. We can play
Nilofer
with
Masood
the
ji,
Pakistan.
here
But
are
we
3-4
will not
questions,
take
ma'am.
such steps so that we can save the lives of people.
We can play back, and this is for record because you have spoken uninterrupted till I have raised my voice right now. Why is it that mainstream political parties, including the National Conference, say violence and not terrorism? Why is it that mainstream political parties say militants and not terrorists? Why is it that you just now said we have asked India to speak to them? That itself is soft separatism, because you are yourself, as a mainstream party whose leader has been a member of parliament and a former chief minister, is speaking the language of Jammu and Kashmir being separate from the central government. You should have said that the government of India, you should have said the central government or the center. You said India. You didn't say terrorists, you said militants. You didn't say terrorism, you said violence. And ma'am, tell me one instance where Mr. Farooq Abdullah, no, 1 minute. And finally, tell me one instance where Mr. Farooq Abdullah or anybody from the National Conference has blamed Pakistan for terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir and in Bharat, across Bharat, has said that we need to stop the Pakistani bullets have claimed innocent lives in Jammu and Kashmir. Tell me once on record why don't you say it tonight? Why don't you say it tonight? Why don't you say it tonight?
We need to talk to them.
Why don't you?
We
No,
need to
no,
talk
no
to them.
talking, ma'am. You do you talk to terrorists or do you
Yeah,
talk
we
to
can
killers?
play cricket with
Do you
them,
talk
we
to
can enjoy
terrorists?
biryani
Do you
with
talk
them,
to
but we cannot
terrorists? Do you
to
talk to
them.
killers?
We cannot talk to them.
Do you talk to
Mr.
terrorists? Do you talk to
Vajpayee-
killers?
Mr. Vajpayee has
Do you
already
talk
said,
to
if you
terrorists?
remember, he
Do
said
you
that
talk
we
to
cannot change our
terrorists? Sir,
neighbors.
ma'am,
For our
Niloufar
peaceful
Masood ji, you should
borders,
remember that
we
when Mr.
entered
Vajpayee wanted
into
to board
agreement
that
in the
bus,
year
what did the
2022?
Pakistanis do?
And then what
And at
happened?
that
We
time,
have
what did the
peaceful
National
borders
Conference
today.
say? I'm asking you,
When we
any
brought them
day
on the table.
when the parties, mainstream parties of Jammu and Kashmir and mainstream leaders have called out the
cannot
Pakistani
blame
bullets,
every time
have
mainstream.
called
They are
out
nowhere
Pakistani
to
violence,
stand.
have
They are
called out the
nowhere. Center
Pakistani
is ruling
army
Jammu and
and the
Kashmir.
Pakistani vardi behind the
Center is
Dehshat Gardi in
ruling
Jammu and Kashmir.
They need
It's
to
not
take
happened.
responsibility.
What you just
They
now
need to
peddled,
take
ma'am, was soft
responsibility. They need to
separatism.
accept that there
You
is
called it
failure
violence.
on their
You
part.
failed to call them terrorists, and you said we have told India to talk to do something about it. That is the
Yes, we have been
lexicon
telling our
and the
country.
language
We
of
have
soft
been telling our
separatism, Niloufar
country.
Masood
India
ji.
is our country.
That's where the fault lies. Yes,
Equally it belongs
our
to
Sardar
you,
RP Singh. No,
equally
ma'am,
belongs
no,
to
ma'am.
we
It's
people.
it's
You
the
cannot
thought.
pick
It's
and
the
choose
thought
the
Can I
words.
make a
process that's
small
slipped
point?
in your
This is the
language,
problem.
ma'am.
This
And
is the
I'm just
problem.
quoting what you
This
said
is the
here.
problem
I'm
with the
just
mindset.
exactly quoting
This
what
is the
you
problem
said and the
with the
tone in which
mindset,
you said
that
it,
you
ma'am.
are just picking
Yeah,
up
that's
the words,
that's exposing your
choosing
mindset,
words
ma'am.
that you are
It's
using this
exposing
word, you are
your
using that
mindset,
word,
ma'am.
but you
It's
will not
exposing your
question. You will
mindset
not
and the
question
political
center. You
narrative
will not
peddled by the
question
National
center.
Conference.
We are losing
Peddled by the
precious
National
lives.
Conference. That's
We
the
are
allegation we are making.
losing
Correct us.
precious
Please
lives.
correct
You will
us.
not
Please come
question
on
those
record.
people
I'm
who
saying
are
right
sitting in
now.
the cozy chairs.
Right
You will
now,
not-
ma'am,
you will
say
not question them.
right
They
now,
have not
ma'am,
even
say it
condemned.
that Pakistani
It's
bullets
strong
have
words.
claimed innocent lives. Say it that Pakistan is responsible for the terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir. Say it that these are terrorists and not militants. Say it that this is terrorism and not violence. Say it, and we'll hold that. We'll put it on record.
This is terrorism. This is terrorism. It does not have the face. You are just putting up the things that
No, ma'am.
it has shifted because it has shifted because there we have Hindu population.
Okay.
Kindly see the population of the Riyasi,
Whether
Doda,
it is
and then
Hindus or
Rajouri.
Muslims, it does not matter,
Yes,
ma'am.
you have
It is
shifted.
innocent
You
lives.
were just telling
It is
when you
innocent.
opened the
Who
program,
they
you were telling
targeted?
us-
Who
you
they
were
targeted
giving the
were
introduction
yatris to Amarnath
that it
Yatra.
has shifted to
Who
the
they
Hindu areas.
targeted were
What do you want to
deliberately
connote?
Hindu
What do you want to
pilgrims were
say?
targeted.
What do you want to say?
Who they targeted were Hindu pilgrims
Equally,
that were
Muslims
targeted.
have suffered, Sikhs have suffered, Christians have suffered. It is the
Everybody has
citizen of the
suffered.
Jammu and
Good.
Kashmir who
I'm
has
happy
suffered
you're
the
speaking
most.
that language now, ma'am. I'm happy you're speaking that language, and let's hope that you continue to speak that language. Now, Sardar RP Singh.
We have
Tell
been
us. Now,
saying-
one
we have
minute.
been
One
saying
minute.
this
Now,
already.
Sardar RP Singh. Since June last year, these attacks have happened in the Jammu region, and the theatre of action had shifted to Rajouri. What's happening? What's the government been doing?
I'll come to that.
Is it
but
not a
first
huge
ask-
internal security issue,
can-
along with it ballooning into an external security compulsion for us at the LAC? Ahmad Ayazi, coming to you after this. Yes, Sardar RP.
Okay. Can I make a request to ma'am? What did Mustafa Kamal said? That there is no evidence. Give us the evidence. He's seeking evidence of Pakistan's killing.
Do you have the
Pakistan
courage to
terrorists
question
killing
center?
the
Do
innocent
you have the courage?
Ma'am,
Do you
can
have
I,
the courage to
did I
question
interpret
center?
you? Did I
No, do
interpret
you have the courage?
Did I interpret you?
Mustafa
See,
Kamal
the
is not
fact
holding
pinches.
defense.
सच
He is not
चुपता है
holding
मैम
defense.
सच
Please.
कितना चुपता है तीखा
Let me
लगता है
remind
सच
you,
कड़वा लगता है और
he is
तीखा
not
लगता
defense minister of
है
India.
आप एक बार
He is not LG.
बोलिए
He is
ना
not LG of
एक बार
Jammu and
बोलिए ना
Kashmir.
मुस्तफा कमाल ने
Whom
जो
you are
कहा
holding-
गलत कहा
whom you are holding
मुस्तफा कमाल
responsible.
एविडेंस
Dr.
मांगता
Mustafa
है
Kamal.
Mustafa
This is
Kamal
very
is
unfortunate
seeking
on your
evidence.
part.
He is
Why don't
asking
you
for
question
evidence
those people who
from
are
the
sitting-
Indian
who are
state
sitting in the
that
chairs
there is the
and
evidence that
enjoying
Pakistan
power?
is
Why
involved
don't you
in
question
this
them?
killing.
Question
Now
them.
we have to give
courage.
evidence to
Have
Mustafa
courage.
Kamal
Question
for
them.
Pakistan's involvement.
He is not
And
defense
then
minister. Neither he is LG.
why can't
Ask-
Mustafa
ask
Kamal
those
and
people
Farukhdullah
who are
both say
responsible for-
that it is the killing
responsible
done by the
for
Pakistan terrorists? Why are
Oh,
they scared
please.
of Pakistan? Because
no.
they seek support of
scared?
Pakistan.
The
Who is
other,
They work here as
I'm just
overground
going to pull
worker
away.
of
I'm just going to
Pakistan.
pull away
They
from
are
the
supporter of
politics of it
Pakistan.
for a minute.
You are scared to ask
The-
question to government of India. You are
No,
scared.
it is the BJP
You are not
spokesperson.
questioning them.
Niloufar Masood ji, it was the BJP spokesperson who was asking you all this while. Now it is Anand and I'm coming. And the question was posed to the BJP and the centre saying, what have you done since June last year to try and sanitize Rajouri and to ensure the first of the drones were seen in this region, the drone drops were seen in this region. What has been done to ensure that that doesn't happen? What has been done to ensure that those drone drops were not arms caches which are now being used by these FTs? There are 16 of them, including Sajid Jatt, already operating in this region for more than 8 months now. now. What's been done to neutralize them? And now 12 more have joined hands. One crazy FT is enough to account for the lives of 10 people. That includes innocents. That 2-year-old child from Jaipur had done nothing wrong. Abhijit Iyer Mitra. So that's also a question. And if that is going to force the hand that a larger troop movement happens from the LAC, how much of a greater internal security situation is created for us?
See, I think
along with politicians who help fuel this narrative. That's a different matter. Yes, Abhijit Iyer Mitra.
You know, the kind of deflection we've just seen, I'm used to it. It doesn't worry us. I think the Indian state is quite prepared for it. But Nilofer ma'am did raise a very important point. What was the state doing? Well, you see, the state can do a lot when there's an insurgency situation. The point of lone terror attacks is they are impossible to predict, which is why they happen. All right, a static defense like a border fence and things like that, they always fail. The Maginot line failed, the Great Wall failed. You saw the Bar-Lev line fail in 73. You've seen the Israeli-Gaza border fortification fail. Ours is nowhere near that caliber, and it's actually a much more dynamic defense. But will it fail every now and then? Yes, it will. This is when terror attacks will happen. But we need to remember a lot of these people have been caught, they have been shot, they've been killed, as far as I can tell. At least 2-3 of them were shot and killed just today or yesterday.
8 this year.
There is a system in place where, you know, these days cash has become digital. Today, when anybody is saying cash, they actually mean PhonePe, Paytm, Google Pay, what have you. Which means it becomes very easy to track them as well. Today, you can't be in India without having digital identification and things like that. You'll actually come across as very weird, and you literally have bling bling lights on you saying, not an Indian, if you don't have your mobile phone and go around without digital payments.
Abhijit Iyer Mitra, let me tell you, from Delhi to Srinagar and beyond, and from Delhi to Jaipur and beyond, Delhi to Hyderabad and beyond, there are still many people who deal only in cash.
There are.
And they do so purposely. All their business is only in cash.
It is in cash, but remember, cash also gets caught. Cash leaves a trail. There are, especially in Kashmir, I think you were also on that trip with me, if I'm not mistaken, Anand, or somebody from News 18 was, where we were taken and shown the entire surveillance and intelligence apparatus for checking how cash is counted and things like that, and cash transfers. There is a reason these terrorists, when they came in, they couldn't do the normal system, and I had to go around asking people ki ye kahan hai, wo kahan hai, and things like that. Is it perfect? No. Are terror attacks going to happen? Yes. Is it going to be at the level, scale, and a state of insurgency like before? No.
But is it going to force the hand? Is it going to strategically compromise our plans? And are we going to be exposed to a two-front battle or a two-front situation, a proxy war on one end and a direct aggression on the other? That's the larger question which we are still facing. And they are going to make a move. The PLA will move in. They will do it. Whether they do it around the Ladakh region or in Arunachal is a matter of time. But Ahmed Ayaz, coming to you, some hard, tough questions need to be asked all around. How much of soft peddling will it happen? Will continue?
No, where is the soft peddling? You see, question is that it's a matter of combat by the security. They have to continue with their operations without any laxity. But the point is, you see, to me, situation looks to be much more serious than what it was earlier on 2-3 counts. One being that the government having made it clear with confidence that the situation is so normalized, even the rush of the tourists have gone up tremendously. That's of course true, because there's the confidence given by the government to the people that the situation is normal. That's one. Second, despite having given this this confidence, and the incidents are continuing, and well we agree that there are a reduction in the incidences, but unfortunately the incidents taking place now are causing too much of damages. That's one. Second being that this is now extending to Jammu areas. I mean, that way I feel this is more kind of a seriousness as it was seen earlier, because earlier we knew that militancy is there, situations is bad and anything can happen anywhere. But today, when see, ultimately we believe in the government. When they give us a confidence as a public, as a people, that everything is normal, and we also say that everything is normal, we please the government. But the question is that that where is the normalcy? Where is the see, last year in Anantnag there was a big incident. One major got killed, one DSP got killed, and today in the Riyasi 9 people, civilians got killed, yatris got killed by the militant attacks, and now for 3-4 days last there is continuity in the incidents in Jammu areas.
Let's
I mean, point is where is the failure? Of course, somebody may say there's not a failure. There is definitely a failure. Where is the failure? That government must come out. What's wrong with it? Now you may say that, so he is giving a statement that I think that's not going to matter much. I may say something.
Let Sardar RP Singh answer your questions. You make very valid concerns. You've raised very valid concerns. My only issue, sir, is why the hesitancy to call it terrorism? Why do you stick to this word militancy?
We call it terrorism.
These are foreign terrorists. You know these are
we
foreign
call
terrorists.
It foreign.
Why
we
do
call
you
it
still
foreign
call it
terrorism.
militancy and soften it?
We call
Why do
it.
you still quote it? You know the difference between militancy and terrorism. This is a deliberate lexicon and a narrative that's been pushed over 3.5 decades, and you continue to push that.
No issue. We
say,
call it a terrorism, and we call it. We call it a terrorism, and we call this also. This is Pakistan sponsored. That also we'll say. But the point is,
you're not doing anybody a favor. That's a reality, sir. So own it up is what I'm trying to say. Don't say it just because you're on a debate and I'm pushing you to do it. Say it, let it come out naturally. But RP Singh, please respond. Where is the intelligence? If there is a sense of safety, why is the safety not there? And who's going to take responsibility and onus of this? Ahmed Ayaz making a few points. Yes, RP Singh.
Well, obviously the responsibility is of the state machinery and the intelligence agencies. No one can say no to that. But it's not that government of India is not making efforts. I mean, you're playing that how many terrorists have been killed? Probably 76 terrorists have been killed till now, and overall there has been a decrease in terrorist activity compared to last few years. I mean, if you compare with the last few years, it is much lesser, almost 50% less than what happened last year or what happened year previous to that. But yes, as I said, a composite, complete reply need to be given on such attack, and I'm very hopeful the army will be calibrating it, and then the government of India will support whatever action army need to take, and there's a high time that a strong message need to go to terrorists and Pakistan both, and also the supporters of the Pakistan here in India, including Mr. Farooq Abdullah.
Sir,
and
this gridlocking of this entire region cannot be done only by the army, with due respect to the Indian army, not taking any credit away from them, but it has to be done by the army, the CRPF or the Para and the Jammu Kashmir police. They have to work together because they are the ones on ground who are bearing the brunt of it. The CRPF jawans, you can't take away they have got the responsibility of securing the grid internally. The Jammu and Kashmir police is the one that gathers a lot of the human along with the military, that means the army. So let's not try and say only one group, one arm is going to do this. It's got to be done collectively. And are they working collectively? If these incidents happen, Sanjay Kulkarni ji, I'm just asking you the same thing again. Is this going to force a troop redeployment? And if that happens, does that mean that we lose strategic advantage at the LAC? Because that's the larger game, that's the greater game. This is all diffusion and internal dynamic.
See, Anand, as regards the redeployment is concerned, that's an ongoing process. But very important to what you've just said, you can have the synergy amongst the security forces, everything is being done. But how do you change the mindset of the local people? The local people have to cooperate. The day the local population decides that they are not going to give any logistic support to anyone who's an outsider, you will find it will cease to stop. But the fact is, we can all work. The army, the CRPF, the paramilitary forces, the police, the various agencies that are functioning over there, all of them can work. But work when? After all, you can't get into the mind of the civilian, who's the one who's providing the logistic support. So it's very important that terrorism has no religion. All of us have to get together and decide that we have to stop it. It will stop within 72 hours. But if within the state, if there are people who try and prop up that, well, Pakistan this and Pakistan that, and then you kind of say that they are not involved, each one of them giving certificates of clearance to each one of them and providing logistic support, it is,
but you also appreciate, you also appreciate the, Rajouri, Poonch, Doda, Kishtwar, these are all areas which are very scattered. Topographically, they are very spread out.
Absolutely,
and all these bastis and these villages are very small ones. And when somebody walks in with an M4 carbine or an AK-47 and intimidates that house and forcibly moves into that house and lives there at the threat of the gun, how much can you expect the locals to help? But yes, a lot of the success is also because you're getting human on ground.
Yeah, Anand, I have myself encountered a lot of these people.
Yeah, I'm asking you this because you served there, so that's why. Yeah,
it's it's extremely difficult. Rajouri, Poonch, you'll find these, ladies who go for cutting grass. I would tell them, come on, show me what you're carrying. They would be carrying 10 chapatis. Now, who out of these girls are going to be eating 10? It's obviously for people over there to leave behind the food for these people over there. So all of them are deeply involved into it unless, now, way back 77, I still recollect, there would be people, local people asking, "Aap India se aaye hain?" So what is this indicative of? Of course, the abrogation of Article 370 and 35 alpha was essential to get rid of this mindset, to make them feel that they're part of this nation and they must feel so. But it may take some time for them to do so. Unless the people decide that they are going to stop this terror and they're going to fight it out together, you will find it very difficult. The security forces will continue to do the job. The government will continue to support. But they cannot be in silos, that some of them taking the benefits of development and at the same time, within one family, I've seen a teacher, I've seen a militant, I've seen an engineer, I've seen a doctor in Doda. What are we talking about? And I would go to that family and tell them, why did you get that boy of yours back into this team? So this is where it is. It is very difficult. Of course, it's challenging. Hopefully, with the development coming up, people have realized that it's not worth it. You see the POK noises coming in from there, that they want to merge with India. They have seen for themselves what Pakistan has done to them. So all this will help. But yes, it's a challenge that we have to take it up and take it up front and ensure that these incidents don't happen again.
I just want to remind everyone of the numbers, ladies and gentlemen. It's come down to 6 incidents in the first 6 months this year, from 107 plus in 2022. It brought down to 27 in 2023. It's 6 incidents that have happened in the first 6 months of this year. The loss of lives hurts. Any single incident hurts, because we always must remember that we have to get it right. Our security forces have to get it right 100 out of 100 times, 10 out of 10 times. The terrorists on the other side can fail 9 times, but if they get it right one time, if they succeed once, we will lose innocent lives. That's the challenge we all face. That's the challenge we all collectively face, but there is a greater strategic intent and impact of this too. I thank all our panelists. Thank you very much for joining us. We're going to take a very short break here on The Right Stand. When we come back, we'll have a person who served in the thick of all this action in Jammu and Kashmir. Lieutenant General KJS Dhillon joins us. Stay with us.
Mills that have been, factories that have been shut down for many years in my constituency. I want to work on opening them. I want to be able to bring good, nice investments in my state, so that more and more youth get employment opportunities, because it's a big thing in states like UP and Bihar. So definitely it is on my bucket list, and I've continuously talked about it as well.
All right. So, Shambhavi, you speak like a very trained politician already, but just to sort of give our viewers a reminder, you are all of 25. A regular, normal 25-year-old would be wearing their heart on their sleeve, would be posting on Instagram, would be doing a lot of stuff, which in your capacity as a politician is kind of restrictive. Do you find yourself as a person being torn between the freedoms of youth versus the responsibility of youth?
Definitely, it does worry me, because there are a lot of things that we have to be, as representatives of the people, careful about. But it does not, I almost think about it all the time, but it does not bother me as such because I'm truly passionate about my political career, and I come from a political family, and I've seen, you know, the only thing that I always keep telling people, the most important thing that I learned from my father was, you know, the world always shows you the good side, but it's only your family that shows you the bad side. So my father has always taught me how to deal with the bad times in politics and how to graciously welcome whatever decision comes from the people, whatever mandate comes from the people. You will have good times, but you will have bad times as well. But I think, you know, whatever challenge may come, I will be able to overcome that challenge with my determination and hard work. And I also feel that with time you get the hang of politics. With time you understand that okay, politics is the only profession that is led by perception, and I think I'll be able to manage my emotions because I'm young. So I think I'll be able to manage my emotions well, and you know, being in politics is definitely a blessing, but I understand that with politics there may come times when, you know, it will not be the best of times, but I'm aware of that, and I'm ready to take whatever challenges may come.
Shambhavi, you're really not speaking like someone who's new to this. You're speaking with the experience, the maturity of someone who's decades older. It's so lovely. It's in fact so rare to hear someone speak with this kind of wisdom, especially at 25, but even frankly from those who are older. So it was so lovely to speak to you. Thank you for joining us here on The Breakfast Club.
Thank you for...
Back on, ladies and gentlemen, and we've just got information that based on specific intelligence input, a joint checkpost was established by the Indian Army and the police and the BSF on a highway near Kupwara, and one suspected individual has been apprehended along with the recovery of 2 IEDs, 4 hand grenades, 1 pistol and other warlike stores. Further investigation is currently in process. This is what the Chinar Corps has actually posted. They have said this is Operation Reddy, REDDI. Kupwara, based on specific intelligence, the joint checkpost has been established by the Indian Army, Jammu Kashmir Police, BSF Kashmir on the highway near Reddy in Pansgam. One suspected individual apprehended along with the recovery of 2 IEDs, 4 hand grenades, 1 pistol and other warlike stores. Further investigation currently in progress. And again, if you look at the region and the terrain, this seems like there is a clear intent to spread a certain level of mayhem in Jammu and Kashmir. Let's go straight across to the man who's been on the thick of all this action, Lieutenant General KJS Dhillon, former DG-DIA and also former 15 Corps Commander. Tiny Dhillonji, namaste, Jai Hind. So good to speak to you after a while.
Namaste, Mr. Anand, and Jai Hind to all your viewers.
Sir, how would you read the current situation? Ye kya karne ki koshish kar rahe hain? What are they trying to do?
Anand, speaking as a pure professional from the military point of view,
Ji.
we have to look at it from the 2-3 angles. The first and foremost is, we should, in the military, as we said, we should never sit on our laurels. That means whatever successes we have achieved, we should never take them for granted in a fluid situation like what is there in Jammu and Kashmir, where a full-fledged country is working against us. The might, the military, the intelligence, the money of a country is working to destabilize the situation in Jammu and Kashmir. After 5th of August 2019, we had stabilized it. Kashmir per se, the Kashmir Valley, is stable, and there are all the indicators of it being stable. And however, when they found that Kashmir, they can't do much, and there is a lot of turmoil within Pakistan, and to divert the attention away from the home front of their population, now they have to create something in Jammu and Kashmir. So Jammu region per se, that is south of Pir Panjal, the Jammu division, the Rajouri, Poonch, Doda areas, they found them to be easy targets, and they thought probably the security forces network, the grid is not as strong as Kashmir. And they have been able to inflict these 3 terror attacks in the past 3 days. That is one part of it. Now, second is, in any counter-terrorism and counter-insurgency operations, synergy is the name of the game. synergy between the security forces, synergy between the civil administration, and synergy between the intelligence agencies. All three components, it is a whole of nation approach. It is everyone has to come together. There are no winners, there are no losers. You win together, you lose together. So there is no one-upmanship, and I'm not suggesting that there is one.
Ji.
So what's happening is in Kashmir, this synergy is working perfectly fine.
Ji.
Probably because of no operations and the agencies getting too involved with the law and order situations. Probably that synergy somewhere is gone down, which we need to hone up again and bring it up to the desired level where Pakistan is not able to do any mischief whatsoever.
This Rajouri...
And third point, which is...
Ji,
sorry,
please complete. Please complete your third point.
Third point, which is very important, is in any counter-terrorist operation, where the stabilization phase is going on, that means you have done the hard work, you have brought the situation to a place or a level where now you have to stabilize the last 5 or 10%.
Ji.
Now that is the most difficult phase because the number of terrorists are less and the security forces are more and they are visible. The population, which is innocent, unarmed, is vulnerable. So that stabilization phase is going on today. In this stabilization phase, 90% of efforts have to remain on consolidating our gains, maintaining our gains, not letting them slip away, and applying succor to the needs of the people. And 10% hard operations must continue. If those 10% hard operations don't continue, the troops will get out of touch with the operational art, and the terrorists will be able to move around freely and cause terror especially in the far-flung areas.
Ji.
So this is where we need to look at our strategy all over again, and we need to hone our skills, our drills, and our strategy application has to be very, very strong.
How is the Kashmir Valley and this entire region, Rajouri, Poonch, Samba sector, how is this different in terms of terrain? Why is it that the terrorists are able to survive 8-9 months even through the winter in this region? Is there a reason why they've selected this Rajouri, Pir Panjal region?
See, Kashmir Valley, as we all know, Kashmir Valley is a bowl which is surrounded by high mountains which get snowfall during the winters and where the grazing is possible during the summers. And in Kashmir, because of 35 years of terrorism and historically also, Kashmir has villages. Kashmir doesn't have scattered Gujjar huts or Bakarwal huts other than in the foothills, which also get vacated during the summers. So Kashmiris stay in villages. Within the villages, they stay in respective mahallas, Dar Mahalla, Wani Mahalla, Ganai Mahalla. So they are very concentrated lot. So any terrorist, when he enters a village, somebody or the other will give information. Now, as compared to this, the demography and the topography. In Kashmir, after the exodus of Kashmiri Pandits, the demography is more or less a one religion demography. The topography I've explained, they live in the villages.
Correct.
And information is easier to come by.
Correct.
In spite of demography being of one religion.
Ji.
Now come to Rajouri Poonch area.
Ji.
Here people are basically herders, Gujjars, Bakarwals, Pahadis, and Hindus. They stay in villages, plus most of them stay in scattered hutments, which may be a cluster of 1, 2, 3, 4 huts, and scattered from the village or away from the village by 1 to 2 kilometers
Ji.
at times, and interstate distance also at times 500 meters to 2 kilometers. So it becomes very difficult to gain information if a group of terrorists have entered a particular cluster of huts where the people are friendly to them. So nobody else will see them around there as compared to the population in Kashmir. So there is a very subtle but a very big difference. When you fly over Jammu region,
Ji.
you see the scattered hutments like pearls lying on the floor,
Correct.
on grass floor.
Ji.
So there is a difference. That's how the information becomes little difficult to come when they enter a friendly hutment area.
Ji. But now, if I were to ask you, in terms of recalibration of the security grid, does that then change the dynamic? Because since June or even before that last year, 2022, say we are seeing drone drops. We are seeing activity in Poonch Rajouri. We're seeing activity near Jammu, near the IB also. So why has it taken us so much time to recalibrate and get our act right in this region? Is it because of the spread? Is it because the topography? Is it because there is not enough humans? or is it lack of coordination?
I will say because of no hard operations over the last few years or few decades, all the aspects which you mentioned have taken a little bit of a hit. I will not hesitate to accept it because operational unit is at its peak when the operations are continuous. The drills are at its peak when the operations are practically on every day or every week basis. When a unit or a sub-unit does not get into an operational area or an operations for about say 5-6 months, especially with a force like Rashtriya Rifles and also to some extent CRPF, where people come and go. So they get out of touch with operations. But the whole backbone of any successful operation is the intelligence. It's not only the human intelligence, you mentioned, it's also the technical intelligence. It's also the background intelligence. It's also the intelligence which is of immediate actionable intelligence or a cool intelligence which can be worked upon after a few days. So all this intelligence collation and collection and synthesization of this results in successful operations. So we need to hone up our intelligence, we need to carry out more synergized operations, and we need to look at our strategy all over afresh. There is a dire need to look at it because this area demands fresh strategy, fresh eyes, fresh heart, fresh hands.
Sir, I have limited time, so I just want to ask a larger final question to you, last 2 minutes. Is this entire game of the dragon, how much of it is Pakistani machination and how much of it is being pushed or orchestrated by the PLA? Because they want to force a redeployment, put pressure on the Indian security forces and ease the pressure that's been built at the LAC.
See, when you have two enemies on your western and northern front, and both of them are nuclear and both of them are not very friendly to you. We are the only country in the world which has two nuclear neighbors and both are not friendly. So we need to be very clear. Enemies will do everything within their powers to destabilize us. It is our responsibility, the onus is on us to make sure we don't allow their designs to succeed. Whether the Pakistan is doing it alone, whether the China is helping Pakistan so that collaboratively they can destabilize this area and force a redeployment, that is for the agencies to see. But as a citizen, as a nation, we need to be prepared for their collaborative actions. And that is where I say we need to put our things in order first. And for that, the stabilization phase, I'll repeat at the cost of repetition, is the most crucial stage of any counter-terrorism operations. We need to stabilize the situation, not let the gains we have already achieved slip
away. True.
Slip away, and also no harm should come to the local innocent unarmed public. At the same time, carry out hard, synergized, intelligence-based surgical operations against the terrorists so that they don't spread the menace in the area.
Lieutenant General K.J. Dhillon, thank you so much, sir. Always a pleasure speaking with you. As we wind up, there's just another information. Earlier on, there was some activity in Doda, and now there is an exchange of fire between terrorists and security forces in Kota Top of the Bhalesa area in Doda district. We're given to understand this is a remote part of Doda. So is it the hot pursuit of these terrorists that has led to this again being circled? We're given to understand one policeman, Jammu and Kashmir policeman, is injured in this exchange. We leave you with that. The story continues on the other side on Brass Tacks with Zaka Jacob. Stay with us.
Co-powered by
for giving me this opportunity, and I really hope that whatever expectations the people of this country have from me, I can deliver to that. Thank you. First of all, thank you to the entire team for having me. Thank you, Sonal, for inviting me. And I'm really, like you told me earlier, you've never invited a politician over for this show. So I take this humble opportunity in thanking the entire team for considering me. How I am celebrating this victory, honestly, everybody is asking me, how are you feeling? What is the feeling like now that you're finally a parliamentarian? And I only have one reply, that I still haven't found the time to consume the entire process properly. There's so much been going on, and I'm constantly meeting new people, connecting to new people. Although this part I'm thoroughly enjoying, but I still haven't found the time to have any kind of celebrations as of yet.
All right, but Shambhavi, tell us this. How does a 25-year-old girl like you who went to LSR, went abroad and did her studies come back to being a politician? How did that come along?
So basically, I'm a third generation politician from my family. I've always, I grew up in that environment since childhood. I've seen my father and grandfather serve people, and it has had a very positive impact on my mind. Young people in politics, I think when I see politics, I see myself as a catalyst of change. Now that I'm a representative of the people, by the people and for the people, it also gives me an edge to put my visions across, to put my thought across. I think that now as a parliamentarian, it's my duty to bring new ideas, new values to the entire political system. And what's been going on is something that I really experienced during my campaign is that people have lost touch with their voters. They are not connected to them emotionally. There's no heart-to-heart connect with their voters. Now it's just about vote bank and vote share.
Shambhavi, you kind of touched on this. Tell us, when you've spoken to people, what do you believe in the area that you're now going to be the Lok Sabha MP of? What are the issues that matter?
Core issues, definitely I come from, I have been elected from the Samastipur Lok Sabha. The constituency, Samastipur, is a little backward till now. There have been, it has...
CNN News 18 and Federal Bank Primetime Studio.
Hello, welcome. You're watching Brass Tacks. We're coming to you live from the CNN News 18 and Federal Bank Primetime Studio. It's been just 3 days since the swearing in of the Modi Sarkar 3.0. And right after that, just in these last 3 days, there have been as many as 3 attacks in Jammu and Kashmir. First in Riyasi, then in Kathua, and one in Doda. Both civilians as well as army personnel have been targeted in these series of attacks. It is perhaps the clearest sign yet from Pakistan that it is going to keep using these terror proxies to try and rattle the Modi government 3.0. The terror